Starting off our list of the top 10 Mesopotamian gods is Anu, the god of the sky and the heavens. Anu was what was considered the supreme god in the Sumerian pantheon. Anu is the ancestor of Anunnaki, the 7 great deities. In reference, Anu is a member of the Supreme Triad with his sons Inlin and Enki. The way that Anu was associated with the heavens and the sky portrayed it almost as if he embodied the entire universe. He was rarely worshipped, and instead his son, Inlin, was the deity that was far more complex. Those who did worship Anu were based around the Inanna temple in the city of Uruk. His goddess counterpart, Inanna or Ishtar, the goddess of heaven, was far more favored by the Akkadian period. At number 9 is Inlin, Anu's son, the god of air and power. During the translation of Inlin's name, linguists and historians found themselves stumped. The Sumerian word Lil means ghost or haunted, but considering the importance of Inlin in the pantheon, it didn't make sense. So the scholars and linguists reinterpreted the name and believed that Inlin was portrayed as the Lord of Air instead. Inlin was imagined to be the embodiment of all energy and power, and is venerated as one of the most powerful gods. He was depicted as rebellious, wrathful, and yet whimsical. The Lord of Air was the patron deity of the city Nipu. However, historically, Enlil was considered to be much more than just the Lord of Air. Many ancient Mesopotamian tablets describe him with many sobriquets, one of which being the king of all lands, or even the father of gods. In consonance with the Akkadian epic Atrahasis, it was Enlil who brought forth the great flood that killed humanity. His brother Inke, however, intervened with Enlil's plan. Inke warned Atrahasis, a human sage, who heeded his warning and built an ark. Several biblical stories, such as the one of Noah's Ark, are mere stories from the Sumerian religion. Coming in at number 8 is the third triad member, Inke, the god of wisdom and earth. Commonly referred to as the Lord of the Earth, Inke is the final deity of the Supreme Triad. He was also commonly depicted as the god of creation, magic, and intelligence. Ancient Mesopotamian texts refer to Inke as overtly sexual and extremely masculine. However, many literary works show Inke as creative over erotic. One text, for example, refers to how his semen provides the vitalizing power of fresh water. The god of wisdom and earth is also said to have created the first humans from clay as a bid for free laborers. In southern Mesopotamia, Inke was the patron deity of the Sumerian city Eridu. It's said that Inke lived in a rather unique location known as Abzu, where he was tended to by his sages. Historians say that in accordance with cosmic geography and the mythos, Abzu was located in the ocean underneath the earth. It's even said that Babylon was built on top of Abzu. Rolling into number 7 is Marduk, the Babylonian storm god. According to the Mesopotamian pantheon, it's said that Marduk was the son of Enki. The storm god defeated and killed Tiamat, a goddess who took on a dragon form and challenged the younger gods. It's said that Marduk created the rivers of Tigris and Euphrates from the goddess's eye, while the rest of her body was used to create the heavens and earth. For Babylon itself, Marduk was considered the most popular pantheon deity and was one of the major gods in the Mesopotamian belief system. Marduk formed an especially important part of the pantheon, one to have shifted cultural prominence from the Sumerians to the later Babylonians. In the Enuma Elish, Marduk was depicted as the king of gods, or the storm god. He was described to have been clothed in royal robes whose specialties lay in the realm of justice, healing, and magic. It's possible that Marduk's origins came from the agricultural god Asarlahai, but it's said that the storm god reigned from his stronghold located in Isagila, Babylon. The famous Ziggurat of Babylon is also said to be dedicated to the storm god and was the literary model for the biblical Tower of Babel. The following that Marduk held within ancient Mesopotamia nearly led the belief system to become a monotheistic system. Many outlying or foreign areas were even followers of Marduk. Shining high in the night sky is Sin, the god of the moon, at number 5. Sin was considered to be the firstborn son of Inlin, and is often depicted as a father of 2 important children, Utu the sun god, and Inanna the goddess of beauty. The god of the moon was symbolically represented as a bull in ancient Mesopotamia. That was because when the moon was in the waxing phase, many people believed the points of the moon resembled the horns of a bull. Funnily enough, the connection to the moon also meant that Sin was associated with fertility and menstrual cycles, something that's often associated with a goddess instead. The ancient Mesopotamians studied astronomical movements, unintentionally using scientific analysis to maintain records of the path and cycles of the moon. Their observations of the moon were their way of studying sin in order to watch for any future omens that were thought to describe important events. Roaring through the skies is number 4, Shamash, the Akkadian god of the sun and justice. Shamash is thought to be the direct relative from the Sumerian god Utu. Both of the gods were projected as being the god of the sun and of divine justice. It is said that Utu was the son of the moon god Sin. Meanwhile, Shamash was thought to be the son of Enlil. In either case, Shamash was one of the many important gods of the ancient pantheon. His importance was attested to as early as 3500 BC in the form of ancient Sumerian writings. Shamash is famously described as an old wise man with long facial hair, and is often depicted as being seated upon a royal throne with the rays of the sun effulging around him. The role that Shamash held was, modestly, said to be a governor of the universe. Other depictions of Shamash took on a more symbolic meaning. The Neo-Assyrian Empire depicted the god as a solar disk with wings that flew through the skies. Coming in at number 3 is the supreme god of the Assyrians, Ashur. Ashur was the city god of Assyria, though in the beginning he was portrayed as a more local deity to a city that shared his name. Historically, there have been strong tendencies to compare or even loosely consider Ashur the Sumerian god Enlil. There has been much back and forth about who Ashur was, what his name is, and much more. Because of this, there's no real distinctiveness in what he looked like, nor what his position was as the city god of the warlike city. The same city later became the capital of an empire which led the Assyrians to believe that Ashur ruled over Assyria and supported its people against their enemies. Many stories and reports were written by past Assyrian kings who submitted their campaigns to him. Ashur appears as the personification of Assyria politically, instead of a character of his own being. Deep into the ground is number 2 with Nagal, the god of death. Nagal is also known to be referred to as Ira and Era. Many believed Nagal to be or similar to the god Ira from Babylon. Before, they were worshipped as 2 separate gods, but as time went on, people moved to only worship and recognize Nagal. Though he is widely referred to as the god of death, war, and destruction, many who lived in farming communities worshipped him as the god of agriculture. He's the son of Enlil, the god of air, and is primarily represented during the height of the summer season when the sun's rays and heat would scorch the earth. Nagal has a rather unique and defining depiction of himself. He's shown as a man wearing long robes, crushing a person with his foot. In his hands, he's known to carry a scimitar and a mace with a lion's head on each end of the weapon. And last on our list is Nanerda, the god of war. Nanerda, or Ningirsu to the ancient Sumerians, was the son of Enlil, the god of air. The god of war is depicted as a fierce god, standing tall as an archer or running behind a monster that had a body of a lion and the tail of a scorpion. Nanerda was originally the god of farming or agriculture, but as the communities moved to become more military and warlike, he became known as the god of war and law as the roles changed. Nanerda was primarily worshipped by the Sumerians for being a healer for the dead, but the Babylonians later began following Nanerda and associated the god with hunting, healing, farming, and war. The god of war is often described as a warrior with raised wings, holding a bow and arrow along with his mace Sharer in his hands. Sharer, the mace, is known not as a weapon to hurt people, but as something capable of speech and reason.